Om Mokyantimidandasya Gyananjana Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Juthapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanbitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Thira Banachari Jamuna Thira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakaacharya Asto Tadasata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakaacharya Asto Tadasata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananti Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Gidi Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Shri Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Shri Balaram Jayanti Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Pasthata Deshatharine. I am sincerely grateful for this very special blessing, to have this opportunity to serve each and every one of you on this holy celebration of the appearance of Lord Balaramji, Balaram Jayanti. Srila Prabhupada established centers all over the world. In the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's a beautiful story when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed for his tour of South India. He went along with his devotees as far as Alalanath. And then the devotees remained in Puri, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Kal Krishna Das continued his tour of South India. In Alalanath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a glorious kirtan. He was chanting, dancing, and all the people from the neighboring villages, they heard this news that the most beautiful, effulgent, merciful embodiment of divine love was performing Sankirtan in their temple. Very soon, thousands and thousands of people gathered. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with his arms raised, with tears pouring like rivers from his lotus-like eyes, was gazing upon all the fallen souls who were assembled. And he loudly invited them all, Haribo, to chant the names of Hari. And such a beautiful opportunity they had to chant and dance with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya was not only exhibiting Sri Radharani's love as symptoms of ecstatic loving transformations were completely manifesting from his body. In Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having that experience. But he was also in the ecstasy of distributing that love to all of these common people through the chanting of the holy names. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he quotes Lord Chaitanya in his beautiful bhajan, Jeev Jago. Enechi asadi maya nashi barolagi harina mahamantra laoti tumi bhagi. That I have come with the medicine to heal your illness. The medicine is the holy name of Krishna. We know from recent times and in the present how debilitating and oftentimes depressing disease could be, both collectively and individually. The pandemic of the COVID-19 is inflicted upon the whole world. But this is something very small and temporary in comparison to the disease of avidya, ignorance, the disease of forgetting that we are the eternal loving servants of Krishna, forgetting that we are nahanyate hanyamane sarire najayate mriyate va kadachet. We are the soul. A soul is not subject to birth or death. It cannot be affected by disease, cannot be cut into pieces by weapons, burned by fire, moistened by water. Aparayamatashtwanyam prakritim viride param. Krishna tells in Gita that the eternal soul that is the living force of who we are is not subject to any of the material elements because it is not material. Mamaivam so jiva loke jiva buddha sanatana. It is eternally part of Krishna. Of Krishna's, the jiva shakti is Krishna's own divine expanded energy with the pure capacity to feel Krishna's love and to love Krishna. Anandamayo Vyashat. Wherever the soul is, whether it's in the body of a tree or a plant, an insect, an animal, a fish, a human or a demigod, the soul is always searching to experience its own nature, to be happy. Sarve Sukhano Bhavantu, Srila Prabhupada prayed that this is the goal and purpose of all the Vedas and of all those who know the Vedas in truth. That we want all living beings to be happy. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes explain that it is our inheritance. Aham bija pratapita. We are all children of God. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath is our eternal mother and father. And as their children, they are eternally enjoying the sweetest pastimes of love together and with their limitless associates in Goloka Vrindavan. And those loving pastimes are expanded in various ways in all the worlds of the spiritual sky. That is the happiness of the soul. To participate in pleasing Krishna in his pastimes. The disease that causes all suffering and that destines everyone to death is forgetfulness of who we are and what is our nature. Srila Prabhupada, in his very early recording explaining the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he describes that Krishna consciousness is not an imposition in the mind. It is the original natural energy of the soul, the living force. It is the pleasure everyone is seeking. Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Avatar. Krishna descended in this age of Kali, the time when it's the most difficult to follow true Dharma. In fact, the way Dharma, or true religion, was practiced in previous ages is impossible in this age of Kali. There is too many vulnerabilities, too many bad habits, and influences all around. Kali Yuga is especially defined by a time when people are influenced to quarrel, to fight, and to have hypocrisy. Part of this hypocrisy is we want to prove so much that we're right. But how limited and how wrong we so often are. How shallow is our realizations. But yet, we want to feel ourselves and prove to others our greatness. People fight in this age of Kali Yuga over physical prowess and who could control various nations, who can control various neighborhoods. And we fight over ideologies, even to show how much knowledge we have. even fight to show how close we are to our spiritual master. How sad. Srila Prabhupada, through his books, through his personal instructions and letters, he so much emphasized unity and diversity. He so much emphasized creating and sustaining unity within his family, his devotional community. And yet, in the name of loving Prabhupada, we fight. Is that hypocrisy? Ultimately, Srila Prabhupada is the person who will make that evaluation, but we should be very careful. In the name of knowledge, we fight. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught us Trinadapi Sunichena Taror Api Sahishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Take this verse, he said, put it on the string of the holy names, like a jewel on a necklace, and wear it always over our hearts. To strive to be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant, forgiving than a tree, and to offer all respect to others and expect none in return. In Bhakti Vinod Thakur's beautiful glorification of Nityananda Prabhu, he describes the essence of Dharma, Sarva Dharma Sara, is to get a taste for chanting of the holy names. And that is actually only possible when we truly become a servant of the Vaishnavas and we truly live to be an instrument of our Guru and Krishna's compassion to the fallen souls. That is what really matters. But somehow or other, due to this disease of ignorance, there's so much suffering. Abhaya charanara vindare. When we take shelter of Krishna, we become fearless. And when we're fearless, there's no more insecurities. There's really nothing else to prove to anyone on the ego platform. We truly become representatives of Guru and Krishna. The insecurities of life which is impelled by the false ego is so much rooted in this quality of fear. Why do we need to prove ourselves to others or to ourselves? It's because of a certain level of fear. But when we take shelter of Krishna, we become fearless. Wanting to conquer the world on the material platform is only because of insecurity. When we become fearless, we become truly humble. And then we want to conquer the world for Krishna, according to Krishna's desire. In this age of Kali, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his weapon for conquering the world were the holy names. And with humility and compassion, he taught us to enlighten people, to transform people. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, there's only one medicine that really works to awaken the love of God, which is the true health of the soul. And that is the chanting of God's holy names. Nam namakari bahuta nija sarva shaktis tatrapita niyamita smaranena kala. Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya taught, even prayed, that my dear Lord, you have many names, and in each of these names you have empowered your Shakti. You are personally present in your names. Your abode, your beautiful form, your pastimes, your eternal associates, they could all be known by simply learning how to take shelter of your holy names. In the age of Kali, Lord Balaramji appeared as Nityananda Prabhu. And in a place called Surabhi Kunj, just near the confluence of the Ganga and the Jalangi rivers in Sri Navadvip Dham, on the island of Gotramdvip, he set up his Namhata, his marketplace for the holy names. Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he organized and made wonderful strategies and empowered his devotees in the most brilliant ways to somehow or other bring this medicine of the holy name to the people who were suffering. In this world, a devotee is paradukha-dukhi. And those who are striving to be devotees are striving to be paradukha-dukhi, where other people's suffering becomes our suffering and other people's happiness become our happiness. And this is on all levels, because the soul is identifying with this body for a conditioned being. Sufferings to the body are misconceived to be the self and cause, in this dream of ignorance, suffering to the soul. Yes, we learn that the happiness and the pains and miseries of this world are like a dream. And Jiv Jago, by associating with saintly people, chanting God's names and developing a taste for hearing about the glories of the Lord, we wake up from this dream. But a loving brother, sister, or parent, even while trying to wake up a person who's having a bad dream, also wants people to be happy in their dreams as far as possible while in the process of waking up. We don't like to see people having bad dreams because they suffer. So in a similar way, devotees, we see Srila Prabhupada would write, I hope this letter meets you in the best of health. And he was speaking about spiritual, emotional, and also physical health. So devotees, their purpose and goal, their mission in life is to help people wake up from the dream of the bodily conception. But even in the process, are naturally compassionate to people on the physical and emotional level. Nityananda Prabhu and his associates, they were going house to house, begging people to take the holy names of the Lord. At the beginning of our Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to go to each and every person and plead with them to chant the holy names of Sri Krishna and Sri Radharani. And it's so interesting because Nityananda Prabhu, as Krishna Chandra Prabhu has just explained, is the original guru. And we will discuss that subject in a little more depth in a few minutes. Nityananda Prabhu is the original guru because he's the original servant of the Supreme Lord. In the spiritual world of Goloka, he's serving the Lord in every way. And he's also facilitating everyone to be engaged in the loving service of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. He expands himself as the holy Dham. And in every way in the spiritual world, he's there to make everyone happy, knowing that everyone's happiness is Radha Govinda's ultimate happiness. And he appears in this world as Lord Nityananda Prabhu to bring everyone into the loving pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya. Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya is Krishna, who is experiencing the ecstasies of the love of Sri Radharani. And with the motherly compassion for all living beings, Lord Chaitanya, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, is sharing her love with everyone. Narottam Das Thakur sang in his beautiful prayers to Lord Nityananda, Nitai Pada Kamala, that no one can approach Radha Krishna and their wonderful pastimes without first receiving the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. In this way, Nityananda, as the servant of the Lord, he expands as Ananta Shesha, and with all of his mouths, he's forever glorifying the names and qualities of the Lord. Whatever we know about Krishna is by the mercy of Balaram. And whatever we know about Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Govinda Dev in one form is by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. In our parampara, the original guru in this universe is Lord Brahma. Krishna spoke to Brahma. And from Lord Brahma, in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Parampara, this flow of knowledge and grace has descended to us. Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram, the original guru, And Haridas Thakur is Lord Brahma, the original guru within this universe for all of us. So these two most exalted gurus, the two most powerful, the most powerful being in the universe and the most powerful being, they're simply taking orders from Lord Chaitanya as his servant, going house to house, not exhibiting their power of physical strength and knowledge, which they have infinitely, but exhibiting their power in their compassion. Haridas Thakur was beaten in 22 marketplaces. He had the power, if he wanted to. He could destroy the earth in a second. What to speak of stop these executioners from beating him. But he tolerated it. Taror abhisahishnana. And at the very heart of his tolerance was he was forgiving them. As it is said, we should hate the disease, but not the diseased. So he loved these people. He just saw that their envy, their hatred, their violence were just symptoms of a disease. And he was loudly, as they were beating him, he was loudly chanting Krishna's holy names and begging Krishna to forgive them. And when Haridas and Nityananda Prabhu together were going house to house, Akroda Paramananda Nityananda Rai, Lord Nityananda was not becoming angry. He was bowing down to people and saying, I'm coming to your home as a beggar. I beg you, just be happy. Chant the holy names. That's all I ask of you. Love Krishna. Bhaja Gauranga. Worship my beloved Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And sometimes when people would insult him or threaten him, he would roll in the dust at their feet and plead with them with tears of compassion, please. Take the name of the Lord. He loved them. How is it possible to love someone who hates you? It's only possible when we're in a spiritually healthy condition. And when we're healthy ourselves, we can perceive the potential of health. Love the soul. But to do everything we can to cure them of the disease. And we see all the negativity in this world is simply symptoms of the terrible disease that's plaguing this earth in the age of Kali. Forgetfulness of our spiritual identity. And all the varieties of the symptoms of false ego that comes with it. And when Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur tried to preach to Jagai and Madhai, how diseased they were. Yet they thought they were happy. They had power. No one could stand before them. Even the law and the government feared them. And Madhai, who actually had the strength of Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, he Shishupal. He smashed a pot on Nityananda's head. And Nityananda was bleeding profusely. At that time, the news came to Lord Chaitanya, and he appeared as angry as fire to protect his beloved devotee. And with his eyes glowing with rage, he called for his Sudarshan chakra, the ultimate weapon of all weapons. The Sudarshan chakra appeared on Lord Chaitanya's hand, and Madhai saw death personified standing before him. And Nityananda Prabhu graciously begged Lord Chaitanya, please forgive him. I might be bleeding, but it really doesn't hurt. And beside that, Jagai, his brother, he protected me. And Srila Prabhupada, when he tells the story, he explains that Nityananda Prabhu was saying that if you kill this Madhai, you might as well kill everyone, because more or less in this age of Kali Yuga, everyone is like this Madhai. But we have come in this incarnation not to cause physical harm to people, not to kill, but to awaken their love for Krishna, to kill the disease of ignorance within their hearts so that they could actually live in the happiness of true devotion. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so moved by the prayers of Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu then, when he saw that Madhai was repentant, he embraced him as a parent embraces his loving child. And later told him the same thing. After Madhai became a pure devotee by the mercy of Nityananda Balaram, Madhai was feeling great misery. I hit you on the head and I was going to do it again. I wanted to kill you. And I tried with all my might to kill you. And yet you're forgiving me and giving me such love. How could I live? And Nityananda Prabhu said, when a child kicks his mother, a mother doesn't take it so seriously. You are my child. You can repent for all the people that you cause suffering by being the servant of the servant of the servant, amani namana dena, in offering all respect to others. That was the consistent formula of how to take the medicine of the holy names that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda had taught us. Nityananda Prabhu, he prepared the way for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He appeared in this world approximately 12 years before the Lord. And he went on his tour and traveled to all holy places. But it is described he didn't preach the very mission of why he came until he received the order of Lord Chaitanya to give the holy names to the world. Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was a disciple of Nityananda Prabhu, who personally heard the glories of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu ordered him to write the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was living in his little village in Bengal, and Nityananda Prabhu appeared to him in a wonderful vision, which we call a dream, and told Kaviraj Goswami that you should go to Vrindavan, and there all your desires will be fulfilled. Both Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami give all the initial credit for the writings of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. He opened the doors to all of them. And by Nityananda Prabhu's limitless eagerness to glorify Lord Chaitanya, which is Balaram, limitless eagerness to glorify Krishna, he inspired Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to establish for all time to come the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, when they first went to meet Lord Chaitanya in Ramakeli, they first approached Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. It was Nityananda, Balaram, and Brahma Haridas that blessed them, prayed for them, and brought them in to have a personal meeting with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are our Sambandha and Abhideya Gurus. And our Prayojana Guru, he tried in so many ways to find the shelter of loving service to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But there were obstacles on his path that were beyond his control. But he understood the secret. The only way to reach Lord Chaitanya's mercy is through the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. Radhanath Das Goswami went to Panihati, and there Nityananda Prabhu, he taught the whole world how we receive his mercy and how we achieve the loving service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He told Radhanath to perform a very simple service, Chiradahi Utsav. Feed all my devotees and feed all the people in general with chipped rice and dahi yogurt. He didn't say feed them rasgullas and sandesh and samosas, chipped rice, the simplest food. Even the poorest homeless people would usually have a little bag of chipped rice because it costs practically nothing. Patram pushpam palam toyam yomi bhakta prayachati. But when we offer our service with love and devotion for the pleasure of the Lord is totally satisfied. Duryodhana cooked a wonderful feast for Krishna. and Vidura and his beloved wife, they had nothing to offer. They just offered Krishna a banana peel, and Krishna was fully satisfied. He wouldn't touch the luxurious feast of Duryodhana, because ultimately Krishna just wants our devotion. And what satisfies Krishna even more than offering him our love and devotion is when we offer Krishna's children his compassion and love and devotion. So Radhanath Das Goswami made a wonderful, he prepared this wonderful feast of Chiradahi, and everyone was satisfied. So satisfied that Nityananda Prabhu called Lord Chaitanya to come in a very, very secret way to enjoy the feast with them. And the next day, Radhanath Das Goswami approached Nityananda Prabhu, and he prayed that it is well known truth that no one can approach Lord Chaitanya without your mercy. Please bless me with your mercy. And Lord Chaitanya told him, go to every devotee and ask for their blessings. And then Nityananda Prabhu asked every devotee to bless him. And Radhanath Das Goswami touched the feet of every devotee with heartfelt feelings of respect. And each devotee picked him up and embraced him. And then he came back to Lord Chaitanya, to Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu said, because you have pleased everyone through your Chiradahi, and because you have received the heartfelt blessings of all the devotees, now I bless you, that very soon you will be liberating from all your obstacles and you will achieve pure devotional service to Lord Chaitanya. You will be one of his intimate, loving associates under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Our Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana gurus all approached Mahaprabhu through Nityananda Prabhu. And Narottam Das Thakur, in the next generation, he was living in Khetri Gram, and he was also very much facing apparently insurmountable obstacles. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, according to Narottam Vilas Bhaktiratnakar, he told Nityananda Prabhu that I have placed my ecstatic love in the Padma River, waiting for Narottam Das Thakur to come to receive it. At the appropriate time, you should appear to him and bring him here to the Padma River to receive my love. And it happened just that way. It was Nityananda Prabhu who brought Narottam Das Thakur to the Padmavati River to be filled with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal ecstatic love and compassion. We were speaking about Lord Chaitanya being in Alalanath. When he was chanting and dancing, Nityananda Prabhu was chanting and dancing with him. And when Nityananda Prabhu saw thousands and thousands of people loudly chanting Krishna and Sri Radha's holy names, with tears streaming from their eyes, joyfully tasting the sweetness of Namrasa and Premarasa. Lord Nityananda Prabhu made a prediction. He said, in every town and village throughout the world, my Lord, you will invoke everyone to be chanting your holy names. That is Nityananda Prabhu. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Puri living as a sannyasi, he told Nityananda Prabhu, there's certain limitations of where I could go and who I could reach due to the sanctity of my vows as a sannyasi. But you, Nityananda Prabhu, you should get married. And without discrimination of who is fit or who is unfit, what is a auspicious or inauspicious place, what is an auspicious or inauspicious time, all of these things are irrelevant in comparison to the great need that you will fulfill. Give everyone the opportunity to love Krishna by practicing the path of pure bhakti and chanting Krishna's names. In this age of Kali, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is Balaram, was facilitating the world to receive Lord Chaitanya's mercy, to enter his pastimes. And for this reason, our beloved founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who established temples all over the world, when he established his temple in his eternal home of Sri Vrindavan Dham, in an extraordinary way, he put in the very center Krishna Balaram. The supremely most beautiful deities of Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar are there. But Srila Prabhupada named the temple Krishna Balaram Mandir. In Kali Yuga, Krishna and Balaram have become Nitai Gaurachandra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. They are most merciful. Srila Prabhupada taught us this very principle of Narottam Das Thakur and all of our acharyas, that if we genuinely want to have the experience of Sri Radha Shyam Sundar's mercy, we must first receive the mercy of Krishna Balaram, of Gaur Nitai. In Vrindavan, there are thousands of temples for Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath, Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Giridhari, Radha Raman. Srila Prabhupada established what would become the most famous and popular temple in Vrindavan, and put in the center Krishna Balaram. because he wanted to teach people not to, from all over the world, the appropriate way of approaching Sri Sri Radha Shamsundar. It's very revealing that in Srila Prabhupada's temple are the most beautiful deities of Radha Shamsundar. And especially even among Brijabasis, I speak to so many, practically throughout all of Braj Bhumi. All the Brijabasis believe the most beautiful deity of Srimati Radharani in all of creation is in Krishna Balaram temple. So Srila Prabhupada is fully giving us the most beautiful darshan and the most beautiful access into the loving pastimes of Krishna and the gopis, and among all gopis, Sri Radha. But he's teaching us the appropriate way to approach through the mercy of Balaram, the original spiritual master, who especially taught us in this age of Kali as Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Today, being the appearance day of Balaramji, I'd like to very briefly discuss the wonderful pastime or lila of Lord Balaram's appearance in the world. Balaram came to prepare the way for Krishna in every way. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes in great detail, and I'm going to be very brief, I hope, that Krishna's original expansion is Balaram, and that original expansion is to serve. He serves Krishna by expanding his Goloka Vrindavan. And then he expands as Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha, as Aniruddha, Shankarshan, Pradyuman, and Vasudev in the spiritual world. And in the matter of creation of this material existence, Balaram expands into an expansion of expansion as Karunodakshayi or Mahavishnu, who's the Lord of the entire cosmic creation. And then Lord Balaram expands further as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu to be the Lord of each and every universe. And then Sri Balaram expands as Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, the Paramatma, who's the Lord who is seated in every living entity's heart, the constant witness and friend within. Yada yada hi dharamasya glanirvabhati bharata bhutanam dharamasya tadatmanam shrajamyaham. To reestablish true Dharma, the Supreme Lord incarnates in many, many incarnations throughout the ages. And they are all incarnations of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, which means they are all incarnations of Balaram. To facilitate the purpose of material existence, which is to help the diseased, forgetful souls to ultimately come back to Krishna. Lord Balaram, as Ananta, is not only chanting the holy names constantly with his many mouths, but he's actually supporting each planet and each universe. Balaram's service attitude is all pervading in all spiritual and material worlds. Nothing exists without Balaram's loving service to facilitate Krishna and his devotees. The Lord descends into this world, but once in a day of Brahma, Krishna incarnates in his original transcendental form of Govinda from Goloka. And he sends his abode of Vrindavan, and he comes with his most intimate loving associates. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Srimati Radharani, Lalita Vishaka, the loving gopis, and the gopas, Balaramji, Subala, Sridama, Stoka Krishna, Sudama, Madhumangal. They all descend from the highest realm of the spiritual world. So rare, so special. Krishna descends into this world to reveal his Madhurya Leela, his pastimes of supreme sweetness. He demonstrates through his relationships with the residents of Vrindavan love that is not crippled by sense of awe and reverence for the supreme truth. In the beginning stages, awe and reverence for the supreme truth is necessary. But when we become completely purified and follow in the footsteps of those who are in the path of Madhurya Bhakti, Krishna attracts us into the higher sweetness of his love. Krishna's smile is so infinitely powerful with sweetness that in Goloka Vrindavan, just that smile completely evaporated Yashoda Mai's feelings of awe and reverence when she saw the universe in Krishna's mouth. For a moment, she was very struck. What is it? I am seeing a universe in my child's mouth. Who is my child? Who am I? But when Krishna smiled, that smile attracted the smile of his love for his devotee. And in many ways, Krishna's smile upon Yashoda was the smile of his desire to be the completely dependent child on his mother. That was his love for her. And that love, the universe in his child's mouth was such a detail at that time compared to his smile that she just forgot about it. All she knew is Krishna wants my milk, and I love Krishna, and Krishna loves me. That is Vrindavan. And the love of the gopis, and ultimately the crescendo of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna and Krishna's love for Radha, which is the origin of all love, the complete fullness of all love. All love in all of existence is part and parcel of Radharani and Krishna's love for each other. And the followers of Lord Chaitanya are inviting us to participate in the pastimes of that love. So when Krishna appears in this world, it is so rare and so special. Considering once in a day of Brahma, which is so many billions of years, Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would refer to Lord Chaitanya's coming and Krishna's coming as recent. For the eternal soul, it is very recent. But how did Krishna orchestrate, and what did he want to teach us in the way he incarnated? Devaki and Vasudeva were living in Mathura. They had 6 children and Kamsa killed them all. Those 6 children represented lust, anger, greed, envy, arrogance, and illusion. And by Devaki's great devotion of taking shelter of Krishna in the face of the fearful situation with Kamsa, there's a lesson in that Kamsa was instrumental. Seeing the dangers and fears that Kamsa represented, Devaki completely took shelter of Krishna, of God in her heart. And when that was pure, then Balaram entered Devaki's womb. He entered Devaki's womb to prepare it for Krishna. That is Balaram. At every moment, how to serve. How to facilitate Krishna's mercy upon everyone in this world. His compassion to every living being in this universe for all time to come. He prepared for Krishna to come to save us, to attract us. That is Balaram. In the womb of Devaki, Balaram completely infused and permeated that place with his love and with his devotion to Krishna and with his compassion to all of us. Devaki's womb became the spiritual world by the grace of Balaram. And Balaram, being Krishna's elder brother, he knows that Krishna must come if he invites him. And he knows that Krishna is irresistibly attracted to the love of his devotee. Balaram infused so much love in that womb, he knew that it would attract Krishna to come for our sake. Devaki in her motherly love, and Balaram in his brotherly love, they made the womb a place that attracted the all-attractive. When Vasudeva was in prison, shackled with chains, along with Devaki, he wanted to protect another wife he had, Rohini, from the persecutions of Kamsa. Vasudeva's dear, most loving, best friend was Nanda Maharaj, who lived in Gokul. Vasudeva, the son of Surasena, was a great prince in the Yadu dynasty. Nanda Maharaj was living as a cowherd man at that time in Gokul Mahaban. They were so completely different in their particular occupational services. But because they both had such deep love of God, they had the ultimate respect and love for each other. Such friends, total trust. Vasudev sent his wife Rohini, who was pregnant with his child, to be in the care of Nanda and Yashoda in Gokul. When Rohini arrived in Gokul Vrindavan, she was 3 months pregnant. When she came, there was such a joyous festival. Nanda Maharaj was just totally thrilled to serve and protect Rohini. And Yashoda and Rohini, it is described by Jiva Goswami when they came together, it was like the Ganga and Yamuna meeting at Prayag. They embraced. They became supremely loving as sisters and as friends. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes at a certain time, Balaram was still in the womb of Devaki. Krishna appeared to Yogamaya and instructed her to transfer Balaram, the son of Devaki, into the womb of Rohini. Rohini is Balaram's original, eternal mother in the spiritual world of Goloka. And there was an expansion of himself that was in her womb at the time. The Harivamsa, which is quoted by Srila Prabhupada, it describes how when Rohini was in her 7th month of pregnancy, at midnight, she had a dream. It was a terribly alarming dream. A loving mother, how she loves her child. What to speak of a mother like Rohini? That little baby was in her womb for 7 months, and how much she, her full energy and love for God was invested in caring for her little baby. In the dream, she had a miscarriage. The child was gone. It was traumatic. Very soon after, Rohini Devi, she woke up, and greatly alarmed, she discovered she did have a miscarriage. She was no longer pregnant. The baby was gone. She was in utter despair. At that time, Yogamaya spoke to her and said that I am going to attract the child from Devaki's womb into your womb. And therefore this child will be known as Shankarshan. And it was at that moment that the original eternal child, Balaram, in his full manifestation, entered into Rohini's womb. And the child that was in her womb simply merged into Balaram because he is the supreme origin. She became effulgent. During the 14th month of Rohini's pregnancy, on the full moon night of the month of Shraddha, the month of Shravana, Balaram took birth. We are celebrating that day today. He appeared on the full moon, and Balaram's complexion was radiant and beautiful like the full moon. It's interesting how Narottam Das Thakur, when he describes Nityananda Prabhu Balaram, he says, Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Shushitala, that the mercy of Lord Nityananda Balaram, it is like radiant like tens and millions of full moons. Balaram's complexion was radiant, white color, compared to the full moon, compared to a spring cloud. When Balaramji appeared on this earth as the son of Rohini, all of Braj Bhumi was thrilled with ecstasy. At that time, Yashoda Mai was pregnant with Krishna in her womb. And Jiva Goswami describes how sometimes Yashoda Mai would lift up the little infant baby Balaram and put her on her lap and cuddle her with such deep motherly love. And Balaram would press his body against her womb. Balaramji knew that Krishna was within her womb. Balaram, as a little infant baby, he lived in total anticipation of seeing his beloved younger brother Krishna. And when he would be pressed by Yashoda against her body, he would feel Krishna inside. He felt so close. He felt such profound, infinite ecstasy that when Balaramji was on Yashoda's lap, so close to Krishna, his ecstasy completely influenced the whole of Braj Bhumi to be in ecstasy. And no one could understand how or why. But everyone could see how this little baby Balaram had such love for the child in the womb of Devaki. And again, just like Balaramji infused the womb of Devaki with his devotion to prepare for Krishna. He prepared the land of Gokul by infusing it with his ecstatic love for Krishna to prepare for Krishna's birth in Gokul. It's interesting. Balaramji is always preparing for Krishna, always facilitating. And even now, his appearance day, it's just 8 days before Krishna's appearance day. And by celebrating Balaram Jayanti and focusing on his mercy, we can't separate Krishna from Balaram. Everything we speak about Balaram is connected to Krishna, who's the origin. So Balaram's appearance day prepares us for Krishna's appearance day. And this festival we're having now, I don't remember what it's being called, but it's a 10-day festival, Krishna Fest or something like that. And it begins with Balaramji preparing us. And for 8 days, we have an opportunity to prepare for the appearance day of Krishna. Yeyatamam prapadyante tam stataya bhajamyam. Krishna reveals himself according to how we surrender. And part of the process of surrender is our enthusiasm and our anticipation to be with Krishna, to serve Krishna. When we anticipate Janmashtami coming, when Janmashtami comes, we can truly feel Krishna's presence in this day, in our hearts and in our lives and in our community. And it begins with Balaram Jayanti. When Krishna was born to Yashoda and Nanda, and simultaneously to Vasudeva and Devaki, from the very first day, Krishna and Balaram became inseparable friends and brothers. Srimad Bhagavatam describes the two of them together was the most beautiful sight. It totally enchanted, each one of them individually, completely enchanted the hearts of the residents of Vrindavan. And when they were together, indescribable. Who can imagine the joy of the residents of Gokul, seeing Krishna and Balaram playing together as infant little babies? Yashoda would be feeding the milk from her breast to Krishna, and sitting right next to her was often Rohini Devi doing the same thing for Balaram. Rohini and Yashoda were practically inseparable friends as mothers of the Supreme Lord. And Sukadev Goswami describes they were constantly absorbed in the anxieties of ecstatic love for their children, because that's the nature of a mother's love. And Krishna and Balaram would love to do mischievous things just to worry to worry Yashoda and Rohini, because the more they worried, the more their love increased. They worried when our children are crawling through the mud of Vrindavan. What is that mud? It's the Chintamani soil of Braj Bhumi, mixed with the dung of the cows, the Surabhi cows, mixed with the urine of the cows. And in that ambrosial Chintamani mud, Krishna and Balaram would crawl around. Sukadev Goswami describes they looked like little serpents crawling. Sometimes they'd grab the tail of a little calf, and the calf did not expect it. Suddenly they felt somebody grabbing their tail, and the little calf would jump up and start to run, and Krishna and Balaram would be holding onto their tails, being pulled through the muddy ground of Sri Vrindavan. And they would be laughing, but they were afraid to let go because the calf was running quite fast. And all the gopis, along with Yashoda and Rohini, would watch. And they were so charmed. They would clap their hands. They would laugh. Sometimes Rohini and Yashoda would be sitting together, feeding their milk to Krishna and Balaram. And when the little babies would open their mouths, the mothers would count their little teeth growing in, and they would compare with each other. How simple is the love of Vrindavan? Even the simplest things of counting little teeth conquer God, the all-powerful, when they are done with pure love. And when Krishna and Balaram grew a little bit older and they started to walk, they began their pastimes of makhan chora, of stealing butter. And Krishna and Balaram were always together. Balaram was the older brother, so Krishna always had a certain playful, loving respect for Balaram. And Balaram, he only wanted to please Krishna. That was their relationship. And Krishna and Balaram's wonderful leelas of stealing the butter, which represents the love of the gopis, is celebrated in Srimad Bhagavatam and in so many beautiful poems by the great acharyas. And as they grew, Krishna and Balaram together were given charge of taking care of the calves. Nanda Maharaj and the elder cowherd man, the Gopas, they entrusted Krishna and Balaram to each morning and bring the calves, the little calves, out to the pasture, to bring them to the Yamuna and the other sacred kunds or lakes, to drink water, to eat the grass, to eat the flowers, to eat the bushes of Braj Bhumi, which all were manifestations of Balaram's love. They grew just to please the calves, because Balaram knows that when the calves are pleased, Krishna's pleased. Some of the most special pastimes took place when Balaram was not present. Let us take a few an example. When we read from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary that each day Krishna and Balaram and his Gopa friends would be so absorbed in playing games. And oftentimes in the games they played, they would make two teams. Balaram would be the captain of one team and Krishna the other. They would play together. And they would be so absorbed in their play. Subala, Sri Damans, and Madhu Mangal, the play was so full of love that the joy was ever increasing. So they would just completely be absorbed and not think about their lunch. But Yashoda Mai, Rohini Devi, and all the other gopis cooked for their children with great love. So the demon would come just before the lunchtime, and after Krishna or Balaram liberated that particular asura, then they would have their lunch. Their appetite was also increased by the excitement. But when we read about Putana, Trinavarta, Sakatasura, and so many others, Keshi, Aristasura, Vyomasura, Krishna always had the upper hand from the very beginning. He was never in a predicament. He simply playfully slayed the demons. But that was it would be uncomfortable for Krishna to be in a subordinate condition with the asuras if Balaram was there. Because Balaram just wouldn't let it happen. So we find Aghasura. Aghasura appeared in Vrindavan, a place called Sapoli, on Balaram's appearance day. Because it was today, Balaram Jayanti, Rohini Devi kept Balaram home. She would perform pujas for him, and she would have him giving in charity and offering services to Brahmins and the elder Brijavasis to receive blessings. So today on Balaram's appearance day, Balaram did not go to the pastures with Krishna. And it was on this day that Aghasura appeared. And he opened his mouth wide. All the gopas and all the calves playfully ran right into his mouth and into his belly. And he waited for Krishna. If Balaram was there, he would not have allowed Krishna to go in. But Balaram wasn't there, so Krishna took the opportunity and entered into the mouth of Aghasura and walked deep into his belly. Aghasura closed his mouth. It was complete pitch darkness. All the gopas, they actually lost consciousness completely. They lost their lives in the suffocating, dark prison of Aghasura's body. And even the demigods, they were so fearful of Aghasura when they saw that he swallowed Krishna. Krishna was nowhere to be seen. They were terrified. They cried out, "Alas, alas." And Krishna remained there for a short time to increase the excitement of the beautiful story. And he did something that was very special, because in all the other asuras that Krishna liberated or killed, he never used a weapon, and he never changed his form. He simply playfully did it. With Putana, he just drank her milk as an infant child. With Janavarta, he just stayed exactly the little Gopal, but he increased his weight, and nobody could perceive it except Janavarta. With Sakatasura, he just touched him with his little infant foot. But with Aghasura, he expanded his body to be enormous, because Aghasura was enormous. And Aghasura, is enormous as he was, he expanded his body to accommodate Krishna. And with his mystic powers, his body became massive. But Krishna, he just out-expanded him until Aghasura suffocated and opened his mouth. He lay there as a dead serpent. Krishna cast his glance upon all the gopas, and they all looked around as if they just had a nice sleep. And they all joyfully left the mouth of Aghasura, and Krishna remained within it. And then he came out. Now it's a question, if Balaram was there, would he have allowed the gopas to go in Aghasura's mouth and be unconscious and lose their life? Would he allow Krishna to go in there? So that beautiful pastime happened today because Balaram wasn't there. And similarly on today, same day, Krishna was having his lunch with all the gopas except Balaram on the bank of Yamuna. And Brahma came down to see, who is this Krishna who just liberated Aghasura? All the demigods are singing about it. And there he saw Krishna with his friends, joking, eating food from each other's mouths, and just playfully eating food together. Bhoga. And Balaram wanted to test Krishna. He allured the little calves to go away with very, very tasteful grass. He thought he was so intelligent. Who is more intelligent than Brahma in this world? And when the calves disappeared, the gopas became concerned, and Krishna said, "You just stay here and enjoy your lunch. I'll go find them." But Krishna couldn't find them. And when he returned, all the cowherd boys were gone. And Krishna understood Brahma has taken all of them. But it was getting toward the time to return home. So Krishna expanded himself to be each cow, each calf, and each gopa, identical in every way. there were millions of gopas and millions of calves. And Krishna became supremely identical in the most intimate way. The sound of their voice, the expressions of their faces, the way they dressed, the way they moved, everything was identical. When they all returned home, no mother calf, no mother cow could even suspect this was not her calf. And for one full year, all the mothers and the fathers never had even a trace of question of whether this was not their child. The only difference is they love their children just like they love Krishna. They love their children infinitely greater than they ever loved them before. But by the yoga maya of Krishna's Lila Shakti, none of them suspected that they were Krishna. And most remarkable thing about this story is also that after this day of Balaram Jayanti, for the full year, Balaram went out to herd the calves along with Krishna and all the boys. And those boys were his life and soul. He loved those Gopa friends. And for the entire year, even Balaram never had the slightest question that these were not his cowherd boyfriends and his calves. Even he could not detect that it was actually, they were all Krishna. Until that special day when the cows were on top of the Govardhan hill and they saw Krishna, and they came and they saw their little calves, and they came running down and they were licking their calves, and the cowherd men were trying to chase after them to bring them back on the hill, but they couldn't keep up with them, and the cowherd men were in great anxiety running behind the cows, and the cows were licking their calves, and the calves were licking their mothers, and the cowherd men, seeing their children, just cried in ecstasy and embraced them and smelled their head uncontrollably with affection. And Balaram was seeing this. And then he realized that the whole year it's been like this. And he realized that they were all expansions of Krishna. And he inquired from Krishna about this, and Krishna confirmed. Now our beloved acharyas describe that the original children were not there for a year. Balaram loved those children Gopas so dearly, it would have been immensely painful for him to be in separation from all his friends for that year. Krishna, he arranged it on Balaram's appearance day so Balaram would not be there. And for the whole year, Balaram would not know what was happening. In fact, no one in creation understood except Krishna himself for that whole year. Nanda, Yashoda, the demigods, Brahma himself, no one knew that all the millions of little children of Braj Bhumi were actually expansions of Krishna. This pastime is wonderful. And it was while just after Srila Prabhupada completed the translations and purports of this Brahma Vimohan Leela of the Srimad Bhagavatam that he disappeared from this world to enter into Krishna's eternal Goloka pastimes. Srila Prabhupada was always absorbed in Krishna's Goloka pastimes. An eternal associate of Krishna in Goloka who descended into this world. And this was his final direct personal translation and purport, was this wonderful Leela. And it was very much accommodated by Balaram not being there. And we read the story of Kaliya also. It's unique because for so many hours, Krishna was in a helpless condition. The Gopas drank the water of Kaliya's lake. And similar to Aghasura, they all fall unconscious as if dead. And again, Krishna, he glanced upon them and brought them to life. He jumped in the lake and began swimming around. And at that time, Kaliya came out and he wrapped his enormous, mighty coil around Krishna's little tiny body. Krishna, his body was softer than a newly formed tamal leaf, softer than a fresh budding flower petal. And Kaliya was so terrible. Even today, with all of our special effects, no one could ever create such a fearful reality as Kaliya was. And with all of his might, he was squeezing Krishna in his coils. Krishna was so totally covered by the coils of Kaliya that all anyone could see was just a little glimpse of his beautiful face. And the cowherd boys and everyone who was assembled, they couldn't bear seeing Krishna in this situation. They were wailing and crying and falling unconscious. Balaram would have never allowed this to happen. The all-powerful Balaramji, the source of Mahavishnu, the source of all spiritual strength, he could not bear. He would not allow the Gopas to drink that water. He would not allow Krishna to be enveloped in Kaliya's coils. And when the message came to Nandagram, what was happening, Balaram told Rohini Devi, you should stay here, I will go. And along with the other Brijabasis, they were following Krishna's footprints in the land of Vrindavan. Because no animal, no breeze, nothing in Vrindavan would ever cover or interfere with the beautiful ornaments of Braj Bhumi, which were Krishna's footprints. They follow those footprints to the lake where they found Krishna in Kaliya's coils. Yashoda Mai wanted to jump in. Nanda Maharaj and his friends, the Gopas, they wanted to jump in. They were all, but Balaram stopped them. And Balaram said to Krishna, that as Ananta Shesha, I also take the form of a snake, and you never play with me like this. but you are giving your time to play with this insignificant little water snake named Kaliya. Krishna said, you have no fear. This is my little brother, Gopal. And when Balaram was there, then Krishna came out of the coils and began to dance on Kaliya's head. He took complete control of the situation. This is a special feature of Balaram being Krishna's older brother. Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas describe Balaram as the original guru in the sense that he is exemplifying and teaching the very essence of Dharma, which is bhakti, devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada, he didn't translate the word bhakti like most Sanskrit scholars translate. They usually say bhakti is devotion or love. But Srila Prabhupada gave entrance into the eternal personal feature of love of God. In his wonderful Vyas Puja offering to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he wrote, absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. Impersonal calamity thou hast removed. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada very clearly in his book Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He didn't just call Krishna God. He called Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because God in his supreme feature is ultimately a person, the source of the all-pervading Brahman, the source of the localized Paramatma, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, he translated bhakti as devotional service. Because real love, real devotion is expressed in service. Because it is personal. And the way of awakening, the path of awakening that love is in personal service, devotional service. Balaram ji being the supreme guru is the first original expansion of Krishna who's ever engaged in Krishna's service. He expands himself to be the abode of Vrindavan, the wonderful eternal playground for Krishna and his devotees to enjoy. He expands himself as Krishna's slippers, the shoes of Krishna. He expands himself to be Krishna's bed to sleep on. He expands himself to be Krishna's clothes, to be Krishna's ornaments, to make him happy and attract his devotees, which makes him the most happy. He expands himself in every way, in every detail, thoroughly for Krishna's pleasure. That is Shantaras. As in Dasyaras, Balaramji is Krishna's servant. Sometimes he massages Krishna's legs and feet. Sometimes he fans Krishna with leaves or peacock feathers that he makes from what is laying in the ground of Vrindavan. And Balaram is forever carrying out the wish of Krishna as his servant, Dasyaras. Sakyaras. Balaramji is Krishna's constant companion and friend. They play together. They throw balls with each other. They jump, imitating the animals of Vrindavan together. They roam around, imitating the birds together. They take care of their cows together and their calves when they're young. In this way, Balaram is Krishna's friend. They steal butter together. The best well-wishing friend. In fact, they were such friends that when Krishna ate dirt, Yashoda Maya was in so much confusion and so much worry. How will my child be healthy if he eats dirt? She chastised Krishna. She held him by the hand so he wouldn't run away. Krishna, why did you eat dirt? Krishna said, I did not eat dirt. Yashoda Maya said, but your friends are telling me you did. He said, my friends are not telling you the truth. And Yashoda Maya, her ultimate evidence, Balaram has said that you have eaten dirt. And Balaram is your best friend. He's always on your side. He steals butter and yogurt and ghee from the houses of the gopis with you. He's always your friend. He's always your companion. He's always your protector. He's always on your side. Why will Balaram say that you have eaten dirt? And Krishna said, even Balaram is not telling the truth. But Balaram again, as Krishna's ever well-wishing, loving friend and elder brother, he was facilitating this wonderful pastime to attract our hearts. In Vatsalya Ras, Balaram has parental affection for Krishna. As we have said, as an elder brother, there are so many things that Krishna will not do when Balaram is present because he knows Balaram will not approve. Like going into Aghasura's mouth, or letting Brahma kidnap all the friends, or letting the boys drink the water from Kaliya's lake. There's a certain reverence Krishna has in his spontaneous sweet love for Balaram because of his being the elder brother. And during the Ras Leela and the beautiful, most intimate Leelas between Sri Radha Govinda and the gopis, these pastimes are performed when Balaram is not present. Because that very, very subtle experience of love and of an elder brother would inhibit Krishna from the sweet love that he exchanged with the gopis. In Madhurya Ras, Balaram as the elder brother is not present. But Balaram takes the form of Ananga Manjari to be the most intimate, loving, constant associate and servant in Radha Krishna's conjugal love affairs. And how sweet is this pastime? Balaram is Krishna's elder brother, but to serve in the conjugal ras, Balaram becomes Srimati Radharani's younger sister. If he was an older sister, he could not come. But as a younger sister, Radharani just brings her Ananga Manjari everywhere. Among the Manjaris, because she's Srimati Radharani's younger sister, she has access to being the constant confidential associate of the Sakis. And even the places the Sakis do not come, the Manjaris are there to assist Sri Radha Gopinath. We are just examining a particle of a drop from the limitless ocean of Lord Balaram's enthusiasm in ecstatic love to serve Krishna. He serves Krishna in every way. And all of the asuras that Balaram liberated in Vrindavan, Krishna was always right there watching. With Dhenukasura, they both did it together. With Pralambasura, it was just the sweetness of how they performed their leelas together. The Achintya Veda Veda Tattva of the unity and diversity that Balaramji especially facilitated. Because in all of these ways, whether it be in Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Matsalyaras, or Madhuryaras, Balaram's service to Krishna is always in a way to facilitate all others to enjoy Krishna and for Krishna to enjoy them. In this way, Balaram really is, in the highest and truest sense, the original Guru. Because in every aspect of Krishna's Leela, he's there to facilitate and bring people to Krishna's loving service. His ultimate compassion. And in the Madhurya Ras, Srimati Radharani is Vrindavaneshwari. She is the Empress of Brijbhumi. She is the everything and the all of Krishna. And Nityananda Prabhu Balaram as Ananga Manjari is facilitating, and this is such a deep subject, he's facilitating all the other gopis in her own way to assist Srimati Radharani in her supreme service to Krishna. This is Vrindavan Leela. As Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Balaram is taking the role of a devotee. In every way to facilitate all the part and parcel conditioned souls to come back into the loving service of Sri Krishna. Why? because he knows nothing pleases Krishna more. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Bhavaduti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Krishna with the Mahabhava, the supreme love of Sri Radha. Nityananda Prabhu, by bringing a fallen soul to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, by inspiring the fallen souls to glorify Lord Chaitanya, to follow Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu is directly bringing people into the loving pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his tattva is the deepest, most inconceivable pastime of the Lord, the highest truth. We read in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the works of the great Goswamis the loving pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Govinda. Those same pastimes are taking place in one body. Krishna and Radha are having their Leela in the one same supreme person of Lord Chaitanya. Krishna's there tasting Radha's love, and Radha's there tasting the sweetness of her love for Krishna. During the Rath Yatra in Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Radha, is revealing the innermost core of her love in separation to Lord Jagannath, who is Krishna, who is Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya came, according to Swarup Damodar Goswami, to give this special feature that no other incarnation has given, to give the fallen souls of Kali Yuga entrance into the conjugal love affairs of Radha and Krishna. And Nityananda Prabhu is the person who facilitates that. As Raghunath Das Goswami and Narottam Das Thakur and Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami and Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami and so many others, they all revealed that we can only know the truths of Lord Chaitanya because of the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. Who is Balaram? The mercy of Balaram. Balaram is the supreme original Acharya. When he visited Naimisharanya during his yatra, he was so impartial that he couldn't even take sides during the Kurukshetra war because he was so loving and affectionate to people on both sides. But he didn't want to interfere with Krishna's pastime. So again, Krishna became Arjuna's chariot when Balaram was away. He couldn't have been part of that if Balaram was there. So Balaram, understanding Krishna's desire, went on a yatra. And in Naimisharanya, he found Romaharshan Sutta. He was a disciple of Vyasadeva. He was a great learned scholar, very austere, but he had false ego. In his ego, he was not offering respect to others. Amanina manadena. And when you become envious or disrespectful to others, especially other devotees, indirectly we're being disrespectful to our own Guru and Krishna. Because Krishna is in the heart of those devotees. So Balaram saw this. And because he was so into himself and his own greatness, he was not respecting the other sages appropriately. And because of that, he didn't even respect Balaram. And Balaram picked up one little blade of grass, kusha grass, and he chastised Ramaharshan. And his words still ring for all of us as a warning even today. And then he touched Ramaharshan Sutta with a blade of grass. And Ramaharshan Sutta, his life ended. How fortunate. What a wonderful destination he must have achieved for sure. But Balaram was so humble that when the sages felt sad that they had already blessed him to recite from the scriptures and live a long life, Balaram transferred that blessing to Ramaharshan's son, Sutta Goswami. And by Balaram's mercy, Sutta Goswami later was the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He empowered Vrindavan Das Thakur, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and he also facilitated and empowered Sutta Goswami to be the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam in Dandakara, in Naimisharanya. As Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Balaram took that blade of grass between his teeth as the sign and as the expression of the profoundest humility. And he didn't harm Jagai and Madhai or anyone else. There's no record of Nityananda Prabhu harming anyone, even those who persecuted him, like Haridas. He simply begged them, become the servant of my beloved Lord Gauranga, and chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Why our beloved Srila Prabhupada made his temple in Vrindavan, the Krishna Balaram temple, is the deepest subject of love and compassion. And how Srila Prabhupada, not only did he put Krishna and Balaram in the center of Radha Shamsundar's Leela in Vrindavan for the world to learn, but by Srila Prabhupada's influence, according to Lord Chaitanya's desire and Nityananda Prabhu's method of preaching and his prediction, Srila Prabhupada spread the glories of the Harinam Sankirtan movement and Gaur Prema Sankirtan Bhakti all over the world. And Srila Prabhupada inspired tens and thousands of homes to have Gaur Nitai deities. Srila Prabhupada especially recommended in householders' homes the worship of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, Gaur Nitai, because they bestow all blessings, but they're so merciful they do not accept offenses. And there's that beautiful story when Srila Prabhupada was in Atlanta, Georgia, and he was seeing the beautiful, merciful deities of Gaur Nitai. He sang Parama Karuna Karu Pahundu Ijana Nitai Gaura Chandra. In place of Radha Madhava, he sang the beautiful glories of the mercy, the supreme mercy of these two brothers, Nitai Gaura Chandra. And Srila Prabhupada, gazing upon the beautiful form of Gaur Nitai, he began to cry. He went into a trance of ecstasy of love, seeing how by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya, he was empowered. People of all races, from all different spiritual backgrounds, from all different countries, were coming together. Temples all over the world. On this most holy day of Balaram's appearance. And just another recollection, Jiva Goswami, who became the next Acharya of our Sampradaya after Rupa and Sanatan, leader of the Goswamis. When he was young, his uncle, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, were living in Vrindavan. And Jiva Goswami was living at home with his mother in Bengal. And at a certain time, he had deities. When he was a little boy, Jiva Goswami, it's described in Bhakti Ratnakar, when he was a little boy, he made little deities of Krishna and Balaram and worshiped them with all his heart. He worshiped those deities of Krishna Balaram in every possible way, with simple little offerings. Even when he would go to sleep, he would embrace them. And when Jiva Goswami left his home, he went to Navadvip to meet Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu brought Jiva Goswami on a parikrama of Navadvip. Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. And Bhakti, it's written about in Narahari Chakravarti's Bhakti Ratnakar and expanded upon by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And most of the histories and beautiful stories of Navadvip Dham were revealed to us by Nityananda Prabhu. And it was Nityananda Prabhu who gave Jiva Goswami the order to go to Vrindavan to join his uncles, Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis. What a debt we have to Lord Balaram. What a debt we have to Lord Balaram in his manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu. And what a debt we have to the representative that is giving us entrance into their supreme mercy. His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He is the personification, the manifestation of Nityananda Balaram's supreme mercy upon us. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado yasya prasadanagati kotopi. Through our attentiveness in our sadhana, through our interrelations with other devotees within our community, and through our joint enthusiasm to spread this mission, we can give the greatest pleasure to Srila Prabhupada. And Nityananda Prabhu will bring us into the eternal loving pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath in this spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada taught us to pray for Balaram for spiritual strength. That is such a deep subject. What is spiritual strength? Foundational to all of our strength is our faith, Shraddha. Adoshadatata sadhu sangota bhajanakriya. Srila Rupa Goswami writes that in the beginning there's a little faith. And when we associate with devotees, that faith deepens. That faith strengthens. And on the basis of that strength, that faith, we are willing to perform the tapasya of rejecting those things that are unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. And we are also strong enough to accept those things that are favorable for Krishna consciousness. In order to perform our sadhana when there are so many distractions, we require strong faith. In order to resist the temptations that drag us back into sinful activities or just wasteful distractions, we need strong faith. And Kaviraj Goswami declares that that faith comes by hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. In the association of devotees, we get the strength and the enthusiasm and the faith to perform our sadhana. And it's in taking shelter of the holy names of Krishna in our japa, our bhajan, and our kirtan, in taking shelter of Krishna by regularly nasta praisya bhadreshu nityam bhagavate sevaya, by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, by reading the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and especially for us, by receiving Srila Prabhupada's deepest blessing in the form of his purports, by hearing classes on the Holy Scriptures, by reading from Srila Prabhupada and Vaishnava literatures, by performing our japa and our kirtan, by worshiping the deity attentively, with the proper spirit. Drinadapi suniche naturora basahishnana, amani namana dena kirtaniya sadhari. We are so far from living by that verse, but we must accept according to our capacity what is favorable for developing those qualities. This is how we take shelter of Lord Balaram, by following the instructions of our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and by the strength we get from our satsang, our association with devotees and sadhana, then we have the strength, the empowerment to live by the pure principles of bhakti and to inspire and convince others of its great value. I'm remembering Srila Prabhupada saying, "You will not be convincing to people to read my books unless you read them yourself." There's something very subtle. And I'm seeing on my screen so many of our devotees from Back to Godhead magazine office. And I believe it's the 25th anniversary of devotees from Radha Gopinath Temple taking the responsibility of Back to Godhead magazine. When Srila Prabhupada first came to America, that was the first literature he published in very simple ways with a little mimeograph machine. Each copy was personally made by hand. And it was in the 1940s that Srila Prabhupada began writing Back to Godhead, and he continued throughout his life. At one time, he called it the backbone of the Hare Krishna movement. And I remember His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj appealed to our devotees to take responsibility for Back to Godhead magazine in India. And I'm seeing some of those personalities, Yudhisthira Prabhu and Panduranga Prabhu and Manjari Devi and Raghunath Charan Prabhu and so many others have actually steadily for 25 years been Shamananda Prabhu presenting wonderful editions of Back to Godhead magazine in India in various languages. Our spiritual strength comes by pleasing our gurus. And we please our gurus by our service attitude and by sincerely taking shelter of our sadhana, the chanting of the holy names. And Srila Prabhupada has entrusted this great movement of Lord Balaram, Nityananda Prabhu, to all of us, through our character, through the Vaishnava culture that we share with each other, and through our enthusiasm to organize, to inspire, to develop various projects to attract the world, to take the medicine of the holy names. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for this most beautiful, enlightening, very inspiring class. I think I can speak for myself and I'm sure for many others that even though we've heard so many times and we've been in the movement, but when you talked of developing faith to counter all the distractions, we really need this constant association and help, especially in this pandemic. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you. Would you like to have kirtan?
Yes, ma'am.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Sunyavadi Astatya Satharine.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashatra Deshatarine.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda.
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda.
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
महाराज को म्यूट हुआ, महाराज म्यूट किया।
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada,
Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo.
Haribo.